So for this problem, our objective is to utilize velocities at different time points to determine the net force corresponding to an interaction in 3 dimensions. So our problem involves a skateboard that is stopped, being kicked, and reaching a final velocity, which is right here, at time equals 10 seconds. So to obtain the objective, we are asking the question of what is the net force required to interact with the skateboard so that it reaches this given velocity at time equals 10. So first, we need to start off by finding our momentum at both time points for both given velocities. So we'll do this by multiplying the mass times the velocity, and we have approximately the mass of the skateboard being 5 kilograms. So at time equals 0, we multiply those and we get the velocity, or we get the momentum at the initial time point, and we multiply these and we get the velocity, we get the momentum at the final time point. So now what we want to solve for is our change in momentum, and we do this by subtracting our initial momentum from our final momentum. So this is done right here, and as you see, our change in momentum is just going to be the final momentum that we reach at 10 seconds. So now that we know the change in momentum, what we want to figure out is the net force of this kick, how much force is going to need to be behind it to make the skateboard reach this velocity at 10 seconds. So to figure this out, we use the momentum principle that says the change in momentum is equal to the net force times the change in time. So we know everything at this point except for what our net force is, and we use everything else to solve for what our net force is. To calculate our change of time, we just subtract the final time minus the initial time. So we subtract 0 from 10, and we're just left with 10 seconds. And then on this side, we have our change in momentum, which is just our final momentum, which we solve for here. Now, we solve for this algebraically by dividing both sides by 10, as we see in this step here, so that we solve for our net force. And then here we have our solution, which is the net force needed to interact with the skateboard so that it reaches this velocity at 10 seconds.